Guys, the first of 3 title fights at UFC 259 is none other than Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling for the 135 belt. Nick and I are talking about that fight and breaking it down right now. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, starting off the title fights of UFC 259, we have the amazing Petr Yan, the UFC's youngest champion, the only champion that's currently in his 20s, if you could believe that, is going to be taking on the ever-tough, gritty Aljamain Sterling in what I think is an excellent fight. It's actually the closest, as far as odds making goes, of all of the title fights on the card, UFC 259. And I think that's a good kind of assessment. I do believe this fight is very close.
Yeah, it is. And it seems to be like that's probably spot on for the odds makers to make that the closest one. For me, it's the hardest one to choose who I think is going to win. My predictions have gone back and forth on this one, and I'm really excited. You know, these two guys deserve a main event of their own, and that's why I do like to call this the co-main event.
Yeah,
it's not really like they're getting slided, and even though they're the third of 5 fights down the list, they are absolutely a main event fight. It's 5 rounds, and it actually works in their favor that they're fighting on a card that's going to be such a big card. 259 with Izzy on the top of it is going to be a big night for the UFC, and these guys are going to get a lot of shine, and I'm just super excited to see him get in there.
Yeah, I am too, and I think Aljamain Sterling is absolutely the right guy. You know, he had that setback against Marlon Moraes. He's rattled off 5 wins in a row since that day, and he absolutely deserves to be in there.
Kind of looked like a world beater.
He really has, and most recently submitted Corey Sandhagen, who a lot of people are saying should get the next crack at the title. So in some great company and defeated a lot of great fighters. And so I think he's done extremely well since that KO to Moraes.
Yeah, it seems like Aljamain Sterling has really found his footing, found his groove, and he was always a guy to keep your eye on. And even when he wasn't in the top mix, he was a guy that people knew about at the 135 and were like, okay, I think he's going to be trouble. He just has to kind of get some things in order and figure himself out a little bit. It seems he's done exactly that, and now he is the trouble that we all assumed he would become. And I think this is a very good fight, very tough fight for Petr Yan.
Absolutely. And on the flip side of that coin, Petr Yan himself is 15-1. He's only ever lost 1 fight, and that was by split decision, and he since has avenged that fight. Yeah, he's on a 2-0, or I'm sorry, he's on a multi-fight run, but he's on a 2 KO streak. He's KO'd Jose Aldo and Uriah Faber. When you talk about 135 and even 145 greatness, it doesn't get much better than those 2 names on your resume. So it looks like Petr Yan, especially at 28, he's a very young champion. If he gets past Aljo, we might see him hold that spot for a little while. Yeah,
for sure. It kind of feels like a Russian takeover of sorts that is happening in the UFC. You know, you've got obviously Khabib, and he's gone, but his presence is still very much felt. And you've got some really big names coming through, but Petr Yan is a great representative for Russia, and tough as nails, looks mean, looks the part. It seems to be very talented, both on the ground and on his feet, but more so with his boxing and on his feet. You know, I think he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but don't be fooled by the color of the belt, because I think his grappling is very difficult to deal with. He's never been finished, and he's one of those guys that can kind of take the fight wherever he wants it, and most people can't hang with his boxing and his striking.
Yeah, well, I was going to say he's very tough, very scary like most Russians. Unlike most Russians, he's known for his striking, not his grappling. And it's funny you brought up the blue belt thing. He trains out of Tiger Muay Thai. We know that's one of the absolute best striking gyms that you can come out of. They have some absolute killers in there. Rafael Fiziev is one of the instructors there. If you don't know who he is, guys, go check out some of his fights in the UFC. He's going to be somebody to watch at 155, but that's for another video. But, you know, I do think when you look at this fight, where might Yan be exposed? Aljamain Sterling is a top level wrestler. Yes. He got his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from Matt Serra. UFC royalty.
Legit.
And Yan, and I do believe that he can submit Yan. I don't know that Yan is going to allow the fight to go to the ground. He's certainly not going to try to make it happen, try to take the fight to the ground. And I think his takedown defense and what they work on at Tiger is pretty good. They've got excellent coaches over there. So I'm sure that he's well prepared for this. However, if Aljo is able to work some of that wrestling and get Yan to the ground, a black belt under Matt Serra with those wrestling credentials, it could be trouble for the blue belt.
Yeah, and the confidence that Aljamain Sterling has in his wrestling and his grappling in general is a very good thing, and he should have it. What that should free up for him is the opportunity to mix in more risky striking. He can throw some cool kicks. He's actually, he's the funk master, so he throws some funky things your way. He's got a style that's difficult to prepare for, and I think, Petr Yan is going to want to keep this fight standing, and that's his best chance to win. And obviously, with the credentials in the grappling world that Aljo has both through wrestling and jiu-jitsu, it's going to be a problem if they do wind up down there. But I do think there's some great scrambles that will happen, and they'll largely happen because Aljo is going to feel free. He can throw kicks because he doesn't really have to worry about Petr Yan taking him down. And guess what? If it looks so open and so inviting and so appetizing to take Aljamain Sterling down for Petr Yan that he takes the bait on that and bites on it, then I think you're going to see some really cool stuff, and he could wind up in something that he doesn't want to be in with Aljamain Sterling on the ground.
You hit the nail right on the head saying this was the hardest fight to pick on the card, certainly of the title fights.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning towards Yan, and I'll tell you why. Aljamain Sterling, he is the funk master. He does some really creative, really crazy things. But what we know about Tiger Muay Thai and then really good, just pure Muay Thai specialists like Marlon Moraes, who was able to find a knockout on Sterling, is that he is susceptible to a really quick switch kick to the head or some really crisp elbows and knees in the clinch. And I think Yan is even a bit more polished as far as striking goes than even Marlon is.
Yeah.
And I do believe that Yan is going to be able to find some shots that take a little bit of gas out of the tank to where that grappling disadvantage will get smaller and smaller by the minute.
Yeah.
And I think Yan is going to be able to find a finish probably late in the fight, third, fourth round.
Yeah, I think this one has fight of the night written all over it. This is going to be a legendary bantamweight fight. And you're right when you say that his skills on the feet and striking are probably just slightly above Marlon Moraes's. But one thing he has for sure is a gas tank.
Yeah.
He didn't get tired in that fight with Jose
He's
Aldo.
not going to break like Moraes.
Right. He's going to be there with really effective, really powerful striking in round 1 or in round 4 and 5, just like he is in round 1.
Yep.
So I think what we're going to see is like 4 rounds to 1 unanimous decision for Petr Yan. He's going to gain some good experience as a champion. They're going to get drugged into deep waters because I think they're both going to beat the heck out of each other for the duration of the fight. But I think he's going to get the better of the exchanges, and still is what we're going to hear out of Bruce Buffer's mouth after Saturday night.
I think you're right. And I love Aljo. I would love to see him as a champion one day. Obviously he reps Jamaica. We love Jamaica. We lived there for a couple of years, and so it would be nice to see him with a belt, but I just don't think it's going to happen against Yan. I think this is Yan's time.
Yeah, and if Aljamain can't beat Yan, then I think we're going to have a little bit of time to see who the next contender is, because Aljo's certainly the guy, and what he did with Sandhagen, if Yan gets over on Aljo, then even though MMA math doesn't always work, we kind of get to a little taste of the levels to the bantamweight division.
And if he's a little bit more active in the coming years, we could see the Max Holloway of the 135 division, somebody who's not even 30 yet and has racked up multiple title defenses and knocked off many, many legends. He's already on his way to doing that. So he could be one to really become a star in the sport over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of legends on his resume already. I think he would like to, after this fight, maybe call out the TJ Dillashaws of the bantamweight division, and those types of names. Maybe if Henry Cejudo wants to come back, I see him more going towards 145 and picking a fight with Volkanovski. But who knows, if Petr Yan becomes undeniable, Triple C might grace us with his presence once again.
You never know. Crazier things have happened.
For sure.
Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Aljo can beat Yan? Do you disagree with Nick and I's prediction? And if so, let us know how. As always, thanks so much. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. And check us out on audio where you listen to podcasts. Until the next one, guys, have a great day.
Peace.